everyone, and welcome back to the En Garde podcast. My name is Clare, and I'll be going over the epee today. If you tuned in to the previous episode, you have already heard me talk about the saber. Later, I will be interviewing my friend Liam on his personal experience. This is our final stretch, so let's get into it. Epee fencing was introduced in France in the 1860s as people were trying to make a new version of the foil. It was invented in response to the use of sabers and other heavy swords that were being used for duels. The aim was to recreate a duel without any fatal consequences, so teachers started teaching their students to concentrate on hitting the arm and hand rather than the body. It was used for dueling by the rich people, and it changed as the years went by. Fencing was for a single hit, but the difficulty in judging whether a hit was good or not led to the invention in 1883 of the single-point zaret, a sharp tip protruding 2 millimeters from its cord binding, but this tip proved rather dangerous. As soon as scoring moved away from the single hit and competitions were decided on account of victories, the duelist mentality began to fade. The leading French epeeist René Manal was one of the first to take electric epee to his logical conclusion, changing forever the weapon's golden rule from hit without being hit to hit 1/25th of a second before your opponent hits you. The word epee is basically sword in French. The epee is a thrusting weapon as opposed to the foil and saber's parry and slash tactic. It is also the heaviest of the three swords, weighing about 1.76 pounds. The electrical tip of the modern-day epee has been modified throughout the years for safety after 2 fatal accidents. One of the accidents was René Manal himself and another fencer. On the attack, the tip of the sword pierced through the fabric and through their hearts. The guard is shaped like a bowl to protect the hand, yet that didn't completely stop it from being poked. People found their way around the guard. Same as the foil, it uses the French grip and the pistol grip for variations of defense and offense while fencing. The target area in epee is the whole body, and not a section part of the body. So that means even the bottom of the shoe is target, though the top of the shoe is more commonly hit. As long as the person's body was touched at the tip, it would count. There's a certain mechanism with the tip, and the tip is a button, and the button will only activate the machine by being pressed by a certain amount of pressure. Unlike the foil and saber, though, it has no rules of right-of-way. This makes it the most realistic of the three swords. There was no crying over your point if the blood was drawn in duels. You got hit. Though, if you perchance hit the same time as your opponent, you both get a point. While I fenced saber, I also tried out epee. At first, I thought it was a blessing to have no rules of right-of-way, but it can be anyone's game. Epee is hard. Practically anything can happen. While in saber and foil, you knew the tactics and you either knew how to counter an action or not. At epee, you don't have any idea what your opponent's going to do. There's a more of a variety of what is going to happen. So it's sort of like a guessing game, and you have to know what to do, or you're likely not going to get the point. Now that you all know more about the epee, it is time for a quiz. Like last time, there are 8 questions with 15 seconds to answer each one. There are some true and false questions thrown in, so be wary. Try your best not to look back for the podcast to get the answers. Now, let's get started. Question number 1. When was the epee introduced? A. The 1760s. B. The 1900s. C. The 1880s. D. The 1860s. If you chose D, you were correct. The epee came later than the other swords and is derived from the foil. The epee was introduced in France in the 1860s. Question number 2. Why was the epee invented? A. To create a sword for relatively safe fencing while still simulating a duel. B. People wanted a heavier version of the foil. C. To be a response to heavy swords used for duels. D. Someone created the wrong guard for a foil. E. A and C. To create a sword relatively safe for fencing while still simulating a duel, and to be a response to heavy swords used for duels. If you chose E, you are correct. The sword was invented to recreate dueling safely and as a response to heavy swords used for duels, though it was not always as safe as they wanted it. Question number 3. Fencing was for a single hit, not on the number of victories as it is now. True or false? The statement is true. Before the scoring system was based on the number of victories, it was based on single hits which simulated duels who went until the first blood was drawn. Question number 4. What did Rene Monal do to the epee's golden rule of hit without being hit? A. Nothing. B. Turned it into hit. C. Turned it into hit a 25th of a second before your opponent hits you. D. Turned it into charge and hit. If you chose C, you were correct. Rene Monal changed the golden rule of epee of hit without being hit to hit a 25th of a second before your opponent hits you, as speed became a key factor for scoring points in the electrical version of epee. Question number 5. What does the word epee mean in French? A. Sword. B. Blade. C. Point. Or D. Lightweight sword. If you chose A, you are correct. The word epee literally means sword in French. Question number 6. The epee is the lightest of the foil and saber. True or false? This statement is false. The epee is actually the heaviest. It weighs about 1.76 pounds, while the foil weighs about 17.5 ounces. The saber is about 14 to 18 ounces. As a reference, a pound is only 16 ounces. Question number 7. What is the target area? A. Everything from the waist up. B. Everything. C. The torso. D. Everything except the torso. If you chose B, you were correct. The target area for the epee is everything. Even the bottom of the shoe could be the target area, even if it isn't a target. There won't be any use crying about your point if there was blood drawn in an actual duel. As long as you hit the body, it's a point. Question number 8. The epee follows the rules of right-of-way. True or false? The statement is false. Unlike the saber foil, it does not follow the rules of right-of-way. Anything can happen at any time, which also adds to why it simulates duels best. Now that the quiz is done, let us hear from my friend Leon. How did you discover fencing?
I don't actually know, but I just thought it would be a good idea because I liked the idea of playing with swords. I don't really know how I discovered it though. I think maybe I just heard of it because my parents said something about it.
Okay. How long have you fenced?
I think 7 years now.
What do you like most about fencing?
Probably the mental aspect of it. It's a physical sport, but it's more like chess or something where you have to think a lot about what your opponent's going to do and what your next move should be.
What do you think is the hardest about fencing epee?
Epee is probably timing. You got to be patient. It's not as fast paced. You got to be a little bit more, like I said, patient with your opponent and really try to set something up.
What memorable experiences have you had so far?
Probably winning the tournament that I was at not too long ago.
Anything specific from the tournament that you're proud of?
Being an unrated fencer and beating a C-rated fencer in a yes, I think it was a C-rated fencer.
Nice.
To win.
When you started out with foil, was there anything that made you want to do epee?
I not like right away, so I mean I didn't mind it, but I definitely enjoyed epee when I did epee because I didn't really like the whole right-of-way aspect.
Yeah, it can be confusing. If someone decided to do fencing, what would your advice be for them?
It takes a lot of time to get good. There's like a very big learning curve as opposed to other sports, and it's very different from other sports. But it's pretty rewarding once as you get the hang of it, and it's just an enjoyable sport to do.
Nice. That is all I have for you.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
We have now covered all the swords by this episode. The foil, the saber, and the epee. If you have tuned in since the beginning, you probably now have more knowledge on swords. You're welcome. If you want to do fencing at any time, it can be a fun sport, and there are plenty of places to go. Please take into consideration all the views by people that I've interviewed so far. But you don't have to join. I'm not going to force you, don't worry. But anyways, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a nice day.